Howdy and welcome back to the channel. We'll be doing another episode of World in Flames Collector's Edition, Days of Decision 3, combined game, playthrough number 3. This is going to be the May-June 1941 turn. Could be a pretty interesting turn depending on what the weather looks like. I have one correction that I need to talk about from last turn. I was looking back through my records for the previous turns, and Italy, from three turns ago, owes a line minor. And I had never taken care of that, I think because Italy either didn't get political options a couple of turns or didn't bid or something. Anyway, she hasn't paid for that yet. Now, last turn, she chose increased bid points. So I'm going to scratch that and just say that particular turn she used to pay for her a line minor from a previous turn. I believe it was in 1940 sometime she did that. So that's going to take care of that. So the Italians won't even be bidding this turn. They're just paying for their from last turn, and that's basically going to be it. I think that was about it. We ended the turn last time on some pretty bad weather, but there's no weather modifier for this turn. So I believe the weather for May, June, it's like there's like a third chance of having rainy, bad weather. So I don't know how that's going to turn out. But that being said, let's jump right into the turn. Oh, the other thing was the last turn was kind of long. It was actually ended up being 82 minutes, which is kind of long for a turn. So I think what I'm going to try to do is do less rolling for the incidental stuff like weather and initiative on camera, and try to do more of the actual battle rolling on camera. I think I can do that if I just arrange things a little bit different, so I'm not plowing over big stacks of counters with dice. I'm going to try to do that anyway, so you won't see me roll initiative or weather anymore on camera, at least on turns that I anticipate are going to be really long, like possibly this one. But I will be trying to get more combat dice actually on film. I noticed from the last turn that a lot of stuff ended up being just off camera. So I'm going to try to get actual more dice rolling on camera. And alright, so we'll go with that. And maybe I'll still roll the initiative on camera. We'll see. Can never make up my mind. Anyways, let's go and take a look. I'm not going to do U.S. entry for this turn because it didn't substantially change from last turn. But let's go take a look at starting money. Okay, starting money for this turn. We have Germany at 1, Japan at 0, Italy at 1, the Soviets at 0, the Commonwealth at -3, the U.S. at 0, China at -1, and Free France is at -7. Alright, so I've put bids in for the couple major powers that want to actually do something this turn, so let's go and take a look at that. Okay, for our bidding major powers for this turn, we have Germany bidding 2, the US bidding 1, and Free France bidding 1. Let's go get the initiative positions out of the way. Alright, so we have Germany bidding 2, she's getting a +2 for 4th place, so that's 4, and US bidding 1, she's getting a +3 for 3rd place, that's 4. So that's a tie, but we can see from going to the political effectiveness that the Germans are at 6 and the U.S. is at 2 still. Remember, the U.S. is still neutral at this point, so the Germans will win that tie. They'll be first, the U.S. will be second. Free France is bidding 1, they get a +1, that's 2. They'll be third. First last card is on Germany, and last card is on the Free French. Okay, now for the non-bidding major powers, we have the Commonwealth at 4. That'll put them in at 4th. The Japanese at 3. That'll put them at 5th. The Italians at 2. they'll be 6th. The Soviets at 1, they'll be 7th. And the Chinese at 0, they'll be 8th. All right. Germans went first. Let's go see what they want to do. All right. Germany's going for a minor alliance. But in this case, it's to break a minor alliance. She's going to try to break the minor alliance that the Soviets have with Yugoslavia. This is going to require a die roll. I'm going to add 1 to the result for each factory resource that Germany has in the minor. That's 0. Add the minor's willpower. That's a 4. Subtract Germany's initiative position. That's a 3. Subtract the distance in hexes. That's 1. That's a 2. And we're going to subtract 3 more because we're trying to break an alliance. So that's going to be a -1. Now we have to get a result that is more than 0. So we're going to roll a die. And as long as a 1 is not rolled, Germany will break that alliance. Okay, in this case, a 4 is rolled. So Germany breaks the minor alliance the Soviets have with Yugoslavia. This is going to require, excuse me, this is going to require the treaty chart. And so I'm going to do that. And I have to do the treaty chart for U.S. entry as well. I don't think a whole lot, it's going to cost 5 money. I don't think a whole lot is going to be affected by this, because I think most of them are already either aligned or conquered. But I'll get all that taken care of, and when we come back, Germany will get to activate a minor. Germany now gets to activate a minor, and they're going to grab, they were thinking about Bulgaria with a -6. Drive that right out of the hex with the Soviets. But I think we're going to go with Yugo. I'm going to go with Yugo. And come over here. See if we can actually see it. There we go. The Yugoslav marker is right here. We have 3 points. It's 2 for the hex, 1 for the boundary. That's 3. However, we're moving towards Germany, so it's actually going to be a net cost of 2. So that stacks Yugoslavia with Germany. That's a little bit of an upset, but it's been kind of a weird game. All right, so Germany does not roll to end the political phase, so we will move on to America, and let's go see what they want to do. America wants to sign a level 1 treaty with the Free French. So the minor effects are here, are all in addition to the treaty chart. And it'll cost the U.S. 4 money, but however, we don't do anything right now until the Free French actually get a chance to accept this. So I'm not going to do anything except roll a die to see if the U.S. ends the political phase, which would be a riot. It would be a riot. Oh boy. Check that out. That's a 2. That is close. There's been 1 previous political option played. However, we have the +1 to the die because there's 5 major powers at war. So now we will move down to the Free French. I don't even have to get out their chart. They're going to play their OF, accept the proposal, and agree to the level 1 treaty. So I'm going to note that down. I'll get all the treaty chart stuff put out here, and when we come back, the U.S. will get to activate a minor. Okay, the U.S. is going to activate Ireland. So we'll come over here. You can see Ireland is just outside the fascist ideology. Not something the U.S. really likes too much. We got a -2 Commonwealth and a +4 U.S. So basically the Commonwealth and the U.S. are both down this line of hexes. So we'll do the Commonwealth first. That's a -2. Just going to push it here. And we'll do the 4 for the U.S. So that's just going to drag it back this way and this way. So we just pulled Ireland off the border with a fascist ideology. That's a good thing. We don't really need them being used as a base. That's going to end the political phase. Let's go take a look at reinforcements real quick. I've already set them all out. There's quite a pile. We got the Germans here with another battleship coming in, a U-boat, couple U-boats, pilot, actually 2 battleships coming in. and a couple of ships going into the reserve construction pool. I think one of them's a carrier. Yep, the other ones, they're both carriers. They're both carriers. That's bad. U.S. got a whole bunch of combat air groups and some pilots. The Commonwealth got a ton of stuff, which is good because they need it. The Soviets also got a pretty good load of stuff here. The Chinese got a really good set of reinforcements. 2 infantry armies, a militia army, and Stilwell showing up. And the Italians got some ships, which they lost a bunch, so they need some. Of course, the Japanese got another factory, and a pilot, and a few cruisers. So I'm going to get those on the map. And I tell you what, we're right here. We're going to quickly roll initiative. See what we get. It's white fascist, red communist, blue democracies, and right now we have +2 for the fascists, -1 for the communists, and a 0 for the democracies. Well, the fascists won that hands down, and I think they would like to go first this turn, so I think that's what they're going to do. And let's see. Guess the communists want to go last. Actually, they're tied. I think they'll agree to that. The democracies will agree to the communists going last. The bad part about this is that now the fascists, well, we'll see what the weather is. Let's roll weather. All right, here we go, weather. That's this column right here. Let's see what we get. Get a little closer. There we go. There we go. And it's a 3. Rain in the Arctic, fair North Temperate, fair Mediterranean, storm in North Monsoon, rain in South Monsoon, and fair in South Temperate. The impulse marker moves up 1. And we have a +1 to the weather die roll for the next set of impulses. So I'll get all that recorded. I'll get the reinforcements on the map. And we're going to come back with the first set of impulses. So for the first impulse, Germany took a naval. Italy took a combined. And Japan took a land. And we're going to have a possible U-boat action in the Faroes Gap. As well as we had a successful amphibious invasion of Cyprus, because it's 0 to 5, and so that's an automatic because he's out of supply. And over here, and I should flip over these guys. I forgot to flip a few of them from last turn. Over here in Asia, we have a possible 4-to-1 attack here, but first we get to do ground strike. Get to ground strike them. 2 units, 1 plane. I'll grab my dice. Of course, I can't find them. Alright, here we go. So we'll go, the red die will be the Cav, and the green die will be the 4-3 infantry army. Well, we got one of them. The red die was the Cav, so the... Oh, actually, no, that's a 3. And he's a 2. So, yeah, he missed again. I gotta say, the Japanese are very consistent about missing. I think they had one turn where they did something and they still flopped the die roll. So we got a... Oh, we gotta have ground support mission. Just like that. So that's 28 to 7. That's gonna be a 4-to-1. The Japanese will use HQ support. And the Communist Chinese will counter with Mao. They don't necessarily flip over right now, but so I'll just leave this right here. So we got a 4-to-1 on the assault table. No modifiers. Straight up die roll. Let's see how bad Japan does. What I gotta bite my tongue. A 7. A 7 is cross 1S. So So half the Japanese units will be turned over. One of the Chinese units is dead. The other one's shattered. So I'll get that taken care of. And when we come back, we're going to be over at the Pharaoh's Gap. Just a quick look. It's going to be this hex right here. Alright, I'll be back in a second. Okay, first up, I have to turn one of these subs over. First up, we're going to roll search dice. A 7 and a 3. Nope, there will be no action in the Pharaoh's Gap this set of impulses. The Commonwealth took a naval, and they put 2 fleets in the Bay of Biscay. They figured they could risk using the Med fleet. Is that the Med? Yeah, the Med fleet. That was, which one? I think this might be Force H. Yes, they're using Force H, which was based in Gibraltar, to go up to the Bay of Biscay. They chose not to try and mess with the Italian fleet this turn because they feel they just don't have the shipping to do it. So they just left them where they are. They're not going to go anyplace. And the convoy points that the Commonwealth had running through the Mediterranean are gone now. They've been withdrawn. Over here in Syria, yeah, nothing much changed. And that's probably the way it's going to be for right now. And, I don't know if I mentioned this, but the Germans aligned Yugoslavia during their impulse. So now the Yugoslavians, yeah, I think I said that. I think I mentioned that. Anyways, we're going to go right back to weather. I will roll this. See what we get for a die roll. This is the second impulse for the fascists. The die roll is a 2. It's 2 is storm, rain, fair. Oh, it's actually a 3 because there's a +1 to the weather roll. So the weather is the same as last turn. So I'm going to run through the impulses, see what happens, and I'm going to be back in a second. Alright, the Germans took a naval, and they sorted their fleet. So we're going to roll search dice. A 2 and a 10. Wow. The Commonwealth can't cut a break, it seems, with the Germans. They kick the snot out of the Italians, but they can't seem to cut a break with the Germans. So I'm going to figure that out, and I'll be right back. Okay, the Germans have chosen air to sea. So the first thing we're going to do is have an air battle. The 4 British aircraft are all bombers. Yeah, Swordfish is not a fighter. And so we're going to have fighter versus bombers. The Commonwealth will roll first. And that's on the -1 chart. They roll a 9. Attacker clears through anyone defending bomber. So we got 1 bomber going through for the Commonwealth. Oh, I'm sorry. 1 of my bombers is going through. They'll clear through, doesn't matter, the German carrier bomber. Alright, now the Germans roll on the +1. Oh, Jesus H. Christ. That's a lousy 11. I think that's a nothing. On the +1, 11. Defender clears through any 1 bomber. So they're going to clear through this guy because he's a good bomber. So they get a bomber through. Now we got +2, -2. On the -2, we roll a 12. -2. Attacker clears through anyone defending bomber. We'll clear through this guy, I guess. And then the Germans roll. And they roll an 18. 18 on the +2. 18 is AX. So we'll definitely kill that guy. He's dead. And the pilot's dead. So I think pilot dead are up here. Alright. Now the Commonwealth roll on the -1 chart. They roll a 12. That's a really good, actually -2 chart, I'm sorry. 12 is attacker clears through anyone defending bomber. So we'll clear through another German bomber. Now we'll just switch these two stacks. Those two are cleared through. And then the Germans roll. They roll a 13 on the +2. 13 is Defender abort. Defender aborts on front fighter, front bomber. Looks like he got aborted. The Nimrod got aborted. Oops, sorry about that. And the last bomber going in against the German fighter. Let's see what he rolls. He rolls a 5 on the -2. Is attacker abort. Attacker aborts, defender's front. Actually, it's going to have to be the front fighter. And because the bombers can't abort other bombers, it doesn't make any sense. Anyway, so you're going to abort the front fighter, and the Germans get to roll in reply. They roll an 8 on the +2. 8 on +2 is defender aborts on front fighter, front bomber, so he's going to go get aborted anyways. We'll put him on a carrier. So all the German bombers got through. One Commonwealth bomber got through. Now we're going to look at the anti-aircraft involved. We have 35 anti-aircraft for the Commonwealth, 39 anti-aircraft for the Germans. 39 anti-aircraft against one bomber is the lowest 2 out of 5 dice. The lowest 2 out of 5 dice. You know what? I'm going to roll them over here and just show you the dice after. Lowest 2. So far we have a pair of 2s. And I'll roll the last die right here. So it's 2. So that's 4 air-to-sea factors that get aborted. For the Commonwealth, that's basically their entire bomber. So he got aborted. That's the air-to-sea factor. I don't think the bomber itself is aborted. But we'll put him aside for now. I'm not sure about that. Now for the Commonwealth has, they're facing 39. Well, the Germans are facing 35 anti-aircraft. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 aircraft in total. 35 anti-aircraft factors. Right here. 6 aircraft. It's the highest 1 out of 3 dice. We're going to use 2 surprise points to move it down to the lowest 2 out of 5 dice. So we're going to roll 5 dice, and it's going to be the lowest 2. Okay, that's the first 4 rolled. There's a 1 right there. And we'll roll 1 more. So it's going to be a 1 and a 4 is 5 points total. That's 5 points total. So they're going to, I believe that's going to shoot down one of the CVPs. 5 points, destroy 1 CVP, abort 1 other bomber. So, you know what? We'll abort 1 other bomber instead. We'll abort this bomber right here. He'll go home. Now we've used 4 surprise points out of the 12 so far. We've got 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 12 air-to-sea factors. We have 4 surprise points, and we're facing 24 ships. 12 air-to-sea. 24 ships. We're going to go 4 column shifts. So we're going to get 4 sunk, 3 damaged, and 2 aborted. 4 sunk, 3 damaged, 2 aborted. All this is simply because you roll really bad dice there, Mr. Commonwealth. They wouldn't be suffering this if they rolled half decent. Alright. Let's do them. Alright, so the Germans will pick first. I think we're going to pick a carrier because we just want to. We're going to pick the Furious for a sunk. Commonwealth has to save that on a die roll. I'm going to put this back now because it doesn't matter. These all go back here. Okay, he has to save that on a die roll of better than a 7. He doesn't. The Furious is sunk. Sunk, sunk, sunk. And it had an aborted Nimrod on it. Oops, it goes there. Alright, Commonwealth will pick another one. They'll pick the Enterprise. We're going to try the Enterprise. That's a 7. And I'm sorry to say, he's gone too. 2 more. The Germans will pick the Victorious. We'll try to sink that. Roll a die. That actually is damaged. So we're going to leave him here for damage. And the Commonwealth will pick one. I should probably pick these cruisers that don't have any AA, because they're kind of useless when it comes to AA. Actually, I don't know if they have any in this group. Yes, they do. We're going to pick this cruiser right here, the Orion. It is a 7. This is the last potential sunk. And it's sunk. Now the Germans will pick one for damage. They're going to pick this. So now it's a 7, which has got to roll better than an 8. And we don't. We roll a 1. So unfortunately the Victorious goes to the bottom. Commonwealth will pick one to damage. They're going to pick the... They're going to pick the Malaya. Hoping to save on this so it doesn't actually get damaged. The Malaya. You're kidding me? You know, it gets damaged. Now the Germans have one more to damage. They're going to pick the Illustrious. We're going to pick that to damage. I could pick the Malaya. Try and sink it. Nah, we'll pick the Illustrious. Yes, it's damaged. It doesn't quite save. And now for abort. Okay, the Commonwealth will pick the Valiant to abort. It's a... Actually, let's pick the much more difficult Anson to abort. That's a 2. So that's a 2. That's a 2. Watch him roll a 1. Oh, that was pretty close. He rolled a 3. Alright, so he's only half aborted. And the last abort is picked by the British. Actually, the last abort is picked by the Germans. And they're going to pick the Anson again. So it's going to get at least a half abort. So it's going to go home. It's going to go home. The Commonwealth is lucky they have one carrier in reserve without a CAG, Combat Air Group on it, so they'll be able to replace at least one carrier. So that's the end of that round. Pretty disastrous for the Commonwealth overall. These 2 damaged ships, I'm going to leave them right here. Actually, I'm going to put them on top of the fleet. Now, does the Commonwealth abort? I think they're going to have to. I think they're going to have to. I don't think they can play anymore because they got hosed that first round. I think they're going to abort. So they're going to abort. So I'm going to take care of this mess right here in the Bay of Biscay. And when I come back, the Germans also have the possibility of a U-boat action up here. So we'll be back with that. Alright, we got to do search dice for the Forest Gap. An 8 and a 5. No. I'm sorry. Nobody going to find anybody up there. Now we're going to transfer down here to the Near East or Middle East. Or I'm trying to get that light so it doesn't catch. There we go. Alright. The overhead lights shine off the plexiglass. So we got a 3-to-1 here. Oh, first, I'm sorry. First, there's a ground strike that the Italians are going to attempt to do. So we actually have an air battle up here. I need the dice again. All right. So we got a +1 for the Italians, a -1 for the Commonwealth. Commonwealth rolls first. They roll a 10. That's a -1 for the 10. Defender clears through any one bomber. So the bomber does get through. So, and the Italians get the roll in reply. They roll an 8, which is not much better on the +1. Defender abort. Defender abort. So they would be aborted anyways, but the bomber gets through. That's all that matters. We have 2 units here. We have the headquarters Gort and a 3-3 militia from India. Well, let's go down. Let's check this out. So I'm going to roll 2 dice. The red die will be Gort. Well, 5 and 6 don't cut it. That's definitely not going to do anything. And so we have a 3-to-1 attack with a +1 due to armor. And this is going to be on the Blitzkrieg table. Alright, roll a die. That's a big old 4. That's just great. Which becomes a 5. Oh yeah, we'll use HQ effects. Both of them will. Not that it matters. 3-to-1, a 5 is 1 dead Italian. The Commonwealth has to retreat. Oh, that's funny. Alright, so I want to take care of that. And I'll be back in a second. And I don't think there's anything the Chinese are going to do. Or the Soviets probably going to move a few units. I'll come back with a quick summary after that, after I get all that done. Alright, let's roll weather. What the heck? Roll the 2 again. So a 2, we got +1 to the weather roll, so that's a 3. So it's the exact same weather as last turn. It's really not helping things too much. Okay, well, I gotta take a look, see what the Germans and Italians want to do, and I don't really think they can do too much because the Italians kind of already did their thing, and anyways, I'll be back in a second. So the roll to bomb was a giant 1, which is a giant nothing. The next thing that the Germans want to do is they want to try to initiate combat in the Forest Gap again. See what we get for roll. 9 and 5 is not going to do it. So the Italians are all set. The Japanese are all set. Move on to the democracies and the communists, and we'll be back shortly with a summary of what they did. Okay, we're back to the weather roll. Now let's see what we get for weather. There's a +1 to this die again. Can I roll yet another 2? Oh my God, I can't believe it. I cannot believe it. So it's the exact same weather as last turn. I don't know. I just don't know. The Germans were hoping to do something in the east this turn, but It's not looking like it at all. So let's go over here to the Faros Gap. It's probably the only thing that's going to happen. And we'll roll search dice. That's pretty incredible. Rolling search dice. Well, I rolled a perfect 20. That means you sank my battleship. Nothing's going to happen with a roll like that. So, the Germans are probably going to move some... They can take a land. Doesn't take a naval to do this. They just have to be there already. So they'll probably just take a land. All their other surface ships are tied up in the Faros Gap, so they really can't do anything with that. I'm basically going to move some stuff around in Poland. And that's probably about it. I don't think the Italians can do anything either, because they've already committed their stuff from the previous impulses. And I think Japan's done. The only thing they can do is they have an opportunity in the North Monsoon, but with Storm, they're not going to do anything there. So I'll be back probably with... I'll be back if the turn doesn't end, because it's possible to end next impulse. I'll be back with probably the next weather roll. Okay, I'm back with the fascist impulse. The communists all passed and the democracies all passed, trying to end the turn. Didn't work out for them. We're going to roll weather. Maybe the fourth 2 is the charm. Well, I rolled a 3, which becomes a 4. Which in May, June is going to be fair weather everywhere, except the North Monsoon will be rain. Oh, okay. I got to think about this for a minute. Alright, we're going to roll to see if there's any action in the Faros Gap. So far it's been a big giant nothing. Let's see what happens. Well, now we got something. We got a 3-3. Well, let's see. The Commonwealth will have an air unit, which can't attack subs because it doesn't have an air to sea. But they could choose an air action, which means the Germans... Let's see how many surprise points we got. We have my highest box, which is the 3. There's not enough surprise points for the Germans to choose a sub-action. So it's going to be... No, wait a minute. This is a 3. This is a 3. That's in the 1. I thought that was in the 2. I was looking... I don't know what I was looking at. That only becomes a 2. So they don't find anything. So the Commonwealth doesn't find anything. So the Germans are 3, but they get a -1 for all these convoy points. So that's a 2. So all the German subs are involved. And there's no air that's involved. So it's either a surface or a sub. So the Germans will pick sub. And I'll figure that out. I'll be back in a second. Okay, I figured it all out. I also figured out that this, for searching and surprise, is actually better off being in the 0 box. I think in the future that's where I'm going to put it. Okay, anyways, we have 1 damaged sub. There was a total of 3 surprise points. There's going to be 1 damaged sub, and we're going to have 2 sunks on the Commonwealth. So for a damaged sub, the Commonwealth gets to pick. They're going to pick this guy. He's a 9. And we'll roll a die, see if he's damaged or not. And he indeed is damaged. We will go put him in the repair pool. No, actually he's supposed to stay. Keep doing that. I'm going to put him like this, in case there's another round. Now the 2 sunks for the Germans. We're obviously going to take 3 convoy points. And the Commonwealth will pick this Norwegian cruiser for a sunk. And we roll a die, and he is sunk. And then we're going to roll to see if there's another round. And there will be another round. I got to figure it out. All right, we got to figure it out. We're going to have one aborted sub from the Commonwealth. And for the Germans, we're going to have 2 sunk, 2 damaged, and 3 aborted Commonwealth. All right, so we'll do the Germans first. They're going to try to abort this guy. He's an 8. And he's aborted. He goes home. I just stick them here. They're all embraced. All right, now for the Germans, we have 2 sunk. Well, obviously, we're going to take 3 convoy points. And then the Commonwealth gets to pick a sunk. We'll go with the other Norwegian cruiser. Why not? He can go to the same place that the first one just went. That's a 7. And the Commonwealth rolled a 10. So he's only damaged. Now we got 2 damages. Yeah, you know what? It costs some money to fix them. All right, we're going to damage these 2 tankers and the 1 convoy. It's all going to go in the damage pile. Actually, they don't leave yet. I'm going to put them up here. And then the Commonwealth picks the damage. And we'll pick the last tanker point to be damaged. And 3 aborts. We'll abort this guy. And he is aborted. He goes right to the repair pool. The Germans will pick, or the Commonwealth will pick the damaged convoy points and tankers, or the damaged convoy points rather. They're automatically aborted. That's 3 of them. And there's 1 more abort. And I'll pick the last convoy, last tanker point. And that's the end of that round. At this point, the Commonwealth is going to abort the sea area. They're going to go home. Because that was a really bad day. That was a really bad turn for the Commonwealth again. Just kind of hoping that Russia gets into it pretty soon because take the pressure off. But we'll roll to end the turn. See if the Germans end the turn. We need a 2. A 3 doesn't do it. The democracies, they're just all going to pass. I'm going to try to end the turn. Get the right dice here. Democracies is green die. Nope. And the communists will try to end the turn. And they don't. And we'll move back to the fascists and roll weather again. Here's the weather roll. The weather roll is a 6. I will look that up. A 6 is fair weather everywhere except north monsoon. Impulse marker moves up 1. Alright, the Germans are going to move some stuff around in the land, which I'll do that later off camera. It's not really that important. They've already decided that they can't do their game bit in the east because it turns too long in a tooth. So we're kind of happy with the way we beat the crap out of the Commonwealth. That was pretty good. They're still going to get a bunch of... They still got convoy. See, the convoy pipeline placement segment, which is a house rule, takes place just before resource transport. So the Commonwealth actually has a pile of unused convoy points there. So they're not really going to be that bad off on production. Well, what happens is when they start getting low, that they shrink their convoy lines in from like out in the Far East. Those come in and they lose those resources. Okay, anyways, I'm gonna run through the turn till it ends, and I'll come back with a summary of what I got for partisans and U.S. entry, and I'll show you production. Okay, I'm back. Alright, so I'm on impulse number 19. I rolled a 10 for weather. So that's fair weather and north monsoon. Japan has an attack. So we got it right here. First we got a ground strike right here. We're going to try the ground strike thing again because, you know, we never give up with that. We have 3 units. So we're going to go... let's see. The red will be the... Let me rearrange these. Red is 5-3, green is 4-3, and white is the 1-1-1. Alright, well, that die roll was a big giant nothing, which is consistent with Japan in ground strikes. I think they've actually had one time where they had a ground strike that was worth something. Anyway, we got a 2-to-1. We're going to have a +1 for HQ benefits. And 2-to-1 +1. This is going to be on the assault table. Really doesn't look that great, but we're going to go for it. 2-to-1 +1. Oh my God. Japan rolled a 10 on the 2-to-1 +1. Oh my God. 2-to-1 +1. That is cross 2S. So I'm going to take care of that. They're obviously going to get the factory, and they're going to get the hex. And I think that's going to cut Chinese production yet again. I'll have to figure it out. I think that was one of the factories they were using, but I'll check it out. You know, it's probably going to continue running through the turn, and I think next time you see me, it will be at production. Okay, the partisan roll ended up a possible partisan in China, but there was no place to put it, so because everything's covered with zones of control. The other thing that could have happened, oh, a U.S. entry. U.S. entry ended up being a +2 for Italy, +1 for Germany, and a +2 for Japan, I believe. I'll have to go check, but I think that's what it ended up being. No, I think Germany was a 0, I think. Anyways, production ended up being, we had the Germans producing 36, started with 24 and spent 27. The Japanese are producing 21, started with 21 and spent 21. The Italians produced 11, started with 12 and spent 14. The Soviets produced 21, started with 21 and spent 26. I'll check that. That might actually be a 20. Let me check it real quick. No, it's 26. Yeah, anyway, I'll check it. I'll double check it. That might actually be a 20. But anyways, 9, 11, 20, 20. It's a 20. It's actually a 20. I can't write. They spent 20. All right, that's better. The Commonwealth produced 18, started with 15, and spent 18. So their production come back a little bit. They didn't get bombed, and they didn't get hosed as bad as they could have gotten in the first gap. All right, so they still have reserves of convoys. The U.S. produced 24, started with 19, and spent 21. They spent 24 because they sent 5 out in Lend-Lease. Next turn, they're not sending any Lend-Lease. So I've already withdrawn the convoy points, so they won't be losing 5 points a turn for that. China produced 6 with a 3 cadre. Their production is now down to 3. Started with 5 and spent 5. Free French produced 1, or at -7, and they spent nothing. All right, I'm going to get these guys on the circle. And I'd like to thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, comment. I enjoy all that stuff. And share the video if you have anybody that's interested in this kind of stuff. And I'll see you next time.